Today we're gonna make a springy risotto. We're gonna use asparagus, favas from the garden, some mint, lemon zest, and it's one of my favorite things to make in the springtime. So the first thing we're gonna do is dice our onion. This is gonna be the base of our risotto. I have a pretty big onion here, so I'm just gonna use half of it. Okay, so we have our onions here in the pot. We're gonna add 2 tablespoons of butter, some salt, and 2 tablespoons of olive oil. We'll put this over a medium-low flame and sweat them down until the onions are completely tender, but they don't take on any color. Should probably take about 10 minutes. And while this is sweating, we can prep the rest of our ingredients. We're gonna add 1 clove of garlic that we'll chop. We also wanna get our chicken stock hot on the stove. So I have about 5 cups of chicken broth here that I made. If you can use homemade broth, that's definitely the best, because this will really be a major flavor of your risotto. Now we're gonna prep our asparagus. So we'll just snap off the ends, and the asparagus will tell you where it should be broken off. You don't need to take a knife to it. Okay, now we're gonna cut the asparagus, and we're gonna cut them on the bias, the diagonal, like a 1/2 inch, maybe a little smaller. And then I like to keep the tops intact like that. If they're thick, you can have them lengthwise, but they're just so pretty. Okay, so now we're gonna prep favas. Favas are a labor of love. They're a 2-part process. To get these beans out of the pods, I just snap the pods and then use my thumb to push the bean out. Next step is to blanch these really quickly in boiling salted water, and then we'll just leave them in there for like 10 seconds, and then we'll shock them in ice water. And you're just looking to release the skins from the bean inside. They're like little jackets. So last step, now these are cool in the ice water, you pop them out, the beans out of the skins. I use my thumb to just make a little cut in there and then just pop them out. And then we're done. So now let's start building our risotto. We have, our broth is getting warm. Onions are melted and totally tender. We're gonna add the garlic. So once the garlic's all good to go, we'll add 1.5 cups of carnaroli rice and toast that in here with the onions and all that butter and oil. We're gonna toast these until they get slightly translucent, like the onions, but we don't want them to get any color. So a few minutes. Now we're gonna add 1/2 cup of wine, let that fully absorb. And now we're gonna start adding our chicken stock. This is where the fun starts. We're gonna add 1/2 cup increments and mix between each addition. And this is when you're really, it's important to keep mixing, because this is when you get that starch, draw the starch out of the rice. So this is where we'll be for about 20 minutes, adding and stirring and drinking. Just stirring. So I was told once that risotto got its name because in Italian rice is riso, and otto means 8. And so, like the number 8. And so you're supposed to be stirring in like a constant figure 8. I don't know if it's true, but I believe it. Okay, let's check it. Close. At this point, I'm gonna add our asparagus. Okay, so this is looking good. The rice is, let's see, pretty much tender, like slightly al dente, but no grit. So at this point, we're gonna add the rest of our butter, 1 tablespoon, and about 1 cup of Parmesan, maybe just under a cup. And then mix like crazy. And so you wanna be seasoning, thinking about just remembering that you're gonna be adding 1 cup of Parmesan, which is pretty salty. And then I'm gonna add some lemon zest, and then a little bit of lemon juice. This is a good consistency right now, so we're gonna let it rest for a few minutes and let the rice hydrate a little further and come back and check on it. In the meantime, we can chop some herbs. So we have mint and parsley, and we'll chop these up kind of roughly, and we'll mix some in and then finish the plate with some more also. So this has been resting for a few minutes and it's tightened up a bit. So I'm gonna add a little bit more broth to thin it out. Now we're gonna add our favas and some of these herbs. Now it looks springy, green. Delicious. We'll add some fresh Parmesan, some black pepper, and then a little bit more parsley and mint. It's really good. It's creamy, the crunch from the asparagus. I want to eat this on a spring night. It's perfect.